making it to another episode of It's My Money with Patrina Dixon and the Money Exchange. I'm so excited, y'all. Y'all know me. I'm your money lady, the money girl. It's my money across all social platforms. I am so excited because I'm a part of this program. And while I was there at this wonderful happy hour on this rooftop, I met these wonderful people that I'm about to introduce. I know you may have seen them. If you haven't, you better go and look them up. When you listen to this story, you're going to be inspired. So I cannot wait. Without further ado, I want to introduce Fifi and Gwen, the co-owners, the powerhouses of the Crabby Shack. What's up, Lynn? What's up? How y'all doing?
Hi, good morning.
I'm so excited. So, I kicked this off. I already started with the Goldman Sachs. So I'm just going to go right into it. So I understand that you all were a part, or maybe it was you, PP, that was a part of Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business owners. So is that right? You were part of that particular program?
Yes, I was. It was a life-changing experience. It was actually just what we needed at that time.
Wonderful. And I know we're about to delve into that, but I wanted to make sure we put that in there first to let them know that that's coming. But the Crabby Shack, I love the name. I love the name so much. And then I looked up that you have this famous lobster roll. So talk a little bit about that and make sure I pronounce that correctly.
So our lobster roll is, yes, it's an original out of the Crabby Shack. It is half crab and half lobster, and it's the best of both worlds. That's why you call it the lobster.
And when you're talking to a seafood lover, so like listen, you all, it is heaven in a roll. I love it so much. Wait, and
how
then
it came about is people used to get in our line and literally hold up the line talking about, should I get a crab, or do you think which one is better, the crab or lobster? So it literally came up because of that. So we can move the line along, have both, have the best of both.
Listen, you know what that speaks to? You answered the customer demand. I love it. Love it. And then look, I'm also told that it's covered in your famous Crabby Shack beer sauce. So let me hear a little bit more about that.
So actually the lobster is not in the beer sauce, but our crab legs, those are in the beer sauce, and that is Fifi's recipe, unique, that she created on her own. She wanted to do something different. She brought a little, she's from Philly, so she brought Philly into it, and then the little Southern roots to it. So, and she created this delicious sauce that will just blow your mind.
Yeah, so Fifi, you want to add any more to that about like what made you come up with that for the crabs?
Watching my family, I grew up eating crabs. So watching them all throw some beer in there and throw all kinds of things, lemons, and just a lot of things inside the pot. I just decided when I started cooking crab that I was going to do the same. I mean, I experimented with many beers and many different ways, but once one came that was like, this is good. And it also is complemented with the garlic butter that we make as well. So it's just both. It together just makes perfection.
Listen, when you talk about it, you're like, make me want to like, oh, I want some right now. I'm so excited. So, okay. So now they know the name. They know the two of you. Like what I read was both of you grew up eating crabs, but you couldn't find it in Brooklyn. You couldn't find what you were looking for in Brooklyn. And what I love about this, one of my famous quotes, or one of the famous quotes, not my quote that I like to talk about, is when you make an observation, you have an obligation. And I felt like you were like, there's no place like this. So instead of talking about it and complaining about it, I'm about to be that solution. I love that so much. So talk to me a little bit more about that. So I know you liked it. And then what? So there's a lot of things that are not around and we wish we had. What made you say, like, this is a thing that we are going to do?
Well, lobster was all the rage at the time. And I'm sitting here like, why? I love crab and I don't understand. Like, crab is so sweet and you can flavor it much better. So I just knew that there was like a need. And I'm like, why don't you have it? So then, Gwen, tell the story. I basically went to her.
Well, okay. So she She came to my house for a dinner party and approached me and with the idea and said that she wanted to open up a crab restaurant in Brooklyn. And I just thought it was an ingenious idea. And, no one had it. At that time, there were no crab restaurants, zero. Fifi was she was a fashion stylist and I was a music executive. We had no knowledge of the food industry at all, but we understood that there was a need. And one night, after that conversation, one night after work, I called her and I said, babe, do you really want to do this? And she said, absolutely. And we left our careers and 6 months later opened the Crabby Shack.
Yes, it was.
Oh, wow. Now that part I didn't know about the story. So wow, you both have it sounds like what you had wonderful careers even before getting into this magnificent career. So stopping careers 6 months in and boom, you have like a famous restaurant going on. And we're going to get to a little bit more that you shared with me that we're going to talk about. So how did you do it? How did you prepare? Did you have money to how did you get started? Because I know everybody's like, oh, I can get, open a restaurant in 6 months. How did that work out for you?
So that was it was intense because, we still kind of had one foot in, I remember taking a job in Texas. Remember, Gwen? I remember taking a job in Texas because I just really wanted to do it. And I flew down and styled these guys. And, Gwen was like, well, I'm going to manage, this artist part-time. And because we still was so embedded in our careers. But once we started, we realized that we can't leave. And we literally devoted 3 years, 100% of time to our restaurant, was in the kitchen, burning our arms, making mistakes, just really, really trying to make it work. I mean, leaving her was crazy. To go to Texas, it was and then the thought of her leaving me to go manage, it was I can't do that to her. We have to stay here. So it was nuts. Starting your own business you can't do it part-time. It's you got to go all in. I mean, you can do it part-time, a side hustle, but not a restaurant.
Yeah.
Not a restaurant.
Yeah. I love it. And then so that's to roll up your sleeves and sweat about it. What about the finances of it?
So we used our own money, and that's something we talk about, that there was no funding. There was a bank. We didn't go to a bank for a loan. We used our money, and when almost about 90% into the project, we realized that we ran out of money and we needed a new HVAC system. And so we decided to do a Kickstarter. And so we set a goal of $25,000 for the HVAC system, and we raised 28. And because of that, we were able to open the restaurant.
Right.
You all just doing it. I love it. It's just what needs to be done. Okay, let me do. I'm gonna knock it out and do it. So I know, Fifi, when you and I talked when we were I can't remember if that was actually in New Jersey or New York, but when we were at the rooftop, there was a time within your business that you were trying to figure out, okay, what to do next, and you're at an impasse. Talk to me a little bit about the breadth of having a network and sharing with people the need and what that may translate into for any business owner.
So when you say next step, you talking about with Crabby Shack, what my next step is. Okay. So we had a conversation about, with our program that we took with 10,000 small businesses, we came up with a growth plan. And that was how you graduated. Your final project was basically a growth plan. And they told you to, dream big. And really, when you do that process, if you trust the process, and as you're dreaming and you're thinking about, well, how do I get to this next point? Well, if I had it any way that if I could dream the way I want it to be, I would do it this way. And you'd be surprised that those ways are actually attainable. You can actually do it that way. It just seems like a big dream at the time. So what I told you was basically, we have pivoted. We did all of this stuff that happened during COVID. We had 2 restaurants, one of them closed. I told you about that. And I thought that Goldman Sachs was a blessing in itself. But once we completed the growth plan, every step of the way. Like every single thing that I wrote in my growth plan was achieved. And we were just like floored by it. And I'd say this to Gwen all the time. I'm like, because obviously I spoke to her about it throughout the class, like, okay, well, how are we going to grow? What are we going to choose to do so that, we can do this? And we literally got we decided that we wanted products, retail products. We got a hot sauce. The hot sauce is doing really well right now. It's called Hottie. One is called the original Hottie, and the other one is called is each one the Hot Ones show. And then we said we wanted to do non-traditional markets. So we wanted to get into the Barclays Center. And one of our biggest accomplishments is now, running 3 concession stands at the US Open. So
wait,
it's just
right
like,
there,
okay,
pause right there, because I want people to hear that. Say, you had 3 what at where? Say it again.
Well, we have 3 concession stands now at the US Open.
What?
And that's one of our ultimate goals. And I remember thinking about it. I remember saying it to Gwen. I remember saying, like, we got to get to the US Open. And the fact that we got there was just like, wow. Like, manifestation is crazy.
Oh,
manifestation and putting in the work is truly, it works.
yeah, and that, it's so interesting that you keep referring to the growth plan, because I'm in a different Goldman Sachs program, and one thing I was sharing with my business advisor was like, one of the things I love about the program, because there's so much, is that it's forcing me to sit down and actually take time, and to your point, write down those things that I don't even want to say that I thought they weren't achievable, but they seemed further off than they seem now, because I'm actually putting steps in place, and then it's going to be the execution, right? So I love that you all are a perfect example of that happening. So the US Open, oh my gosh, how was that experience for the both? So Gwen, jump in. How was that experience for to be at the US Open? It was on the plan. You manifested not 1 but 3 concession stands. Come on now.
Okay, so this is year 2 of the US Open, and last year we got the opportunity, and we couldn't believe it. We were getting into the US Open. There was all this planning that needed to be done, and ordering, and that this is like Fifi's wheelhouse, it's getting everything together for the Open, the staffing, which was something that was traumatic. It was traumatic, actually. But so a week before the US Open started, I actually broke my foot. And I was on vacation, and I was dreading telling Fifi, and I was like, oh God, how am I going to tell her this? And it's, babe, I got to tell you something. I think my foot is broken. So it was broken. I could not participate in the US Open. She basically handled the first year all by herself. And, she would call me sometimes, and, she's sitting in a corner crying because it's just, overwhelming. And, customers, it's just thousands and thousands of customers, and employees are walking off just because, the stress is too much. But in the end, it was a success. And I would say that
3 locations.
Exactly.
I said hence the 3 locations.
Yeah. But because it was such a success that this season that just passed, we went to them and basically said, listen, we want to get in. No, actually, maybe Fifi tell the story better, but they asked if we wanted one of our a Crabby Shack in another location. And Fifi said, well, if yes, we'll do it, but we have another business that we're just launching called Side Piece. And if you put Side Piece into the other stand, then we'll do it. And they agreed. So we were able to have 3 locations in the US Open. It was insanity. We had, 3 times as much staff. It was all a learning experience though. And we're just, now next year we're like, oh, what's next? We want, 5 now or 6. So.
I love it. I love it so much. So you're like, okay, you want us? I need a little bit more from you. I love it. I love it. So what's the side piece? So is that where I saw the chicken? Is that what the side piece is? Okay. And then I saw like the guy Mark from The Prophet, right? He was at one of them, right? That's what's up.
Yes, he loved it. He loved it. And he was just very impressed because it was something that we had told him about. Gwen came up with that concept and the name, and we told him about it a few years ago, but just didn't do anything. And then when we had to pivot because of COVID and prices of crab and lobster it's just very, very hard right now. It's super expensive. And I need our customers to understand that. Like, it's just expensive. Inflation happened. What can I do?
Yep.
And we needed to do something a little bit more margin friendly, if you will. And so we just launched it inside the Crabby Shack for now. And we're working on our next steps with Side Piece.
That's what's up. That's what's up, y'all. So listen, as I looked through your pages, I saw folks like Taryn Hall, Gabrielle Hewitt, and the Denzel Washington. Like, the Crabby Shack ain't no joke, y'all. You got a lot of people with great photos. So tell me I'm not as familiar with where it is within Brooklyn, but why so many amazing people stopping by, great pictures. Like, were those all at the US Open, or those actually at your location?
They were actually at our location.
Okay.
When we first opened, we were the only crab restaurant, and people were excited. Mm-hmm. We absolutely believe that we helped start a trend, because 2 years or maybe 3 years after we opened, maybe even, I'd say about 3 years after we opened, all these crab restaurants started popping up. But that is just a testament to that market demand that was not being tapped. And so people were coming in from, Jersey and the Bronx, and we had a family who flew in from California just because they read an article about the Crabby Shack and said, we heard about this and we flew for the day because we wanted to, try the food. So, we had a pretty good name for ourselves. So people would come in and, not planned. Denzel was actually a good friend of my late husband. And so my husband is the one who brought Denzel over, and he just fell in love with the food. And so anytime he would come in town, he would stop in and have some Crabby Shack.
I love it. And I'm a huge Denzel fan. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I love it. So the two of you, are you all still in the store every day? Like, are you still in the or are you out and about doing other things, other adventure or, other, adventures, or, how do you two stay within the business regularly?
Well, I will say Goldman Sachs is the one that said you can't scale your business with your head down.
Yeah.
So we are there daily, but we are there just to sort of either help facilitate with our national shipping, or we're there just to we're there managing, basically. We're still very operational. We're there every day. It just may not be for the whole entire day. I may not be in the kitchen anymore, but I do still greet our customers. We had people in from Texas yesterday, and that was always great. And I think it's nice too, when you look up something and you want to go to a specific restaurant and then you see the two owners there. Yeah. It's like, so it's really nice. And we pride ourselves on customer service and greeting. We know a lot of our customers by name, their first name, and by order. We can say, would you get Crab BLT? And so, it's definitely something that we pride ourselves on. I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was talking about.
So I have to make it there. I'm actually trying to do a trip to Brooklyn because I want to go before the Jay-Z library, the Jay-Z exhibition at the library. So maybe I'll make that all in one day, because I believe that goes away at the beginning of December. So if you think about your journey, and I want both of you to answer this. If you think about your journey, what has been the most rewarding and what has been the most difficult about your journey, specifically for Crabby Shack?
So for me, the most rewarding is basically we bet on ourselves, right? I took a bet on myself. I left the you know, the deposit into my bank account every 2 weeks, and my matching 401k, and you know, my music industry perks, to open a business for myself. And that is the most rewarding thing, because I took a chance and it worked. So, and I would say the hardest thing, let's see. I mean, there's a couple. So in the very beginning, I would say leaving my child to, you know, run a business. When I say leaving my child, there's one thing when, you know, it's 9 to 5, and so mommy walks in the door at 8 o'clock, or, you know, 7 o'clock. But there were many times that, you know, we were walking into the door and our kids were asleep, and, you know, wake up in the morning and we'd have a half an hour with them and then have to, you know, go back to work. And my son at one time, and it just broke my heart. It's like, Mommy, don't they understand that you have a child? What are you doing? I need to see you. And I, you know, that I was just heartbroken by that. And I, you know, tried to explain to him at the time, you know, Mommy has to, this is how, you know, I make money. This is how we survive. So I have to leave you. And I would say that was the hardest.
Yeah.
Understand. That was hard. That was hard for me too, watching, like, because, you know, he was only 10, right? Or 9.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me to watch too. And my son was super young. I mean, I gave my son to my mom for a month and was like, please just take him, please. And I didn't see him for a whole month, but that's beside the point. My best, well, I'll start with my worst. My worst experience with this whole entrepreneurship thing is Gwen and I, like she said, we put our own funding in it. You know, we didn't even have the resources nor the knowledge of how to even get. I remember when I tried to get a loan and they just kind of looked at me like, you're joking, right? You have no experience. You've never done this before. Like, what are you thinking? So I think that one of the hardest things for us is to open up our second location and to scale, we saved our money for 5 years. Okay. We didn't take a pay cut. We didn't take pay. We were like really wanting to grow the business. So we sacrificed a lot. And, you know, once we started that and that closure happened in 2020, it was like, we both went into a deep dive depression. And it was kind of like that feeling of failure or something that is just, I can't, you know, as teammates, you want to say, oh, I got your back. When you fall, I'll pick you up. It wasn't like that. I felt worried for our business. We were both like this and just didn't know how to like snap out of it. But again, the program came from that, because I didn't understand what we did wrong. You know, the program came from that. I applied for the program. I applied for the television show with Marcus, like, please help, you know. And it was just, I just remember that being one of the worst times of literally my life, because I was so sad and depressed and just feeling like, wait, we just had all this success. Everybody and their mom knows Crabby Shack. We got Denzel. We have all the things you just got finished saying. So how is this not working? I don't get it. So that was really hard for me. And I guess the best part is when a dream is manifested. One of my most fondest memories, I'm going to probably tear up, is because I was walking down Broadway in New York City with my assistant. At the time, I was a fashion stylist. And I said to her, I was like, one day when I'm 40, I'm going to leave all this behind and I'm going to open up my own business. And when Gwen handed me my cake on my birthday, turning 40, and saying, congratulations, it was just like, are you kidding me? Did I just do exactly what I said I was going to do? And she was like, happy birthday and congratulations. And it was like everything to me because I said that. I set a goal. I said I was going to do it and I did it. And that to me is like pretty damn amazing.
You're amazing, girl. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Okay, give me a moment because I didn't know I was gonna go there. Oh,
sorry.
You know what? And I'm tearing up. One, thank you both for being transparent. And I'm tearing up because I don't know if you all realize you are examples for others that have maybe thought it wasn't possible, maybe thought they were too old or whatever have you, that it can really still happen for you. And I knew when I met you in person that I wanted to have you on the show. So I'm so glad that you accepted the invitation to be on the show. But the transparency here and the emotion felt like I felt you just now and it touched me. So I thank you both for sharing. So everybody loves to share the best moment, but sharing the vulnerable moment is just as important for those, because some people are at the best places that you are just talked about and some people are right here. So to know there's another side to the right here moment, I appreciate that from both of you. And there's nothing like seeing putting something in the universe and then actually living it. So congratulations to both of you. Congratulations. Wow, you got me stumped. I am not normally stumped. So, like, where do I go from there? Okay, so wow, just amazing stories. One of the other things I wanted you to talk about is a lot of people that listen to this show don't live in Brooklyn, right? And they are going to want to taste all the stuff that we talked about. You talked about hot sauce. We talked about the lobster roll. We talked about, everything else that you may have in the store. I saw that there is a shipping option. I am really choked up. I'm trying to get past the moment. How could other people get this that may not be in Brooklyn? Is that still an option for people to order and get all of what you've shared and put into the Crabby Shack if they're in a different state?
Yes, you can go on goldbelly.com and look up the Crabby Shack and we will ship to you. If you are in Boise, Idaho, and you want to try our lobster roll, we can get it to you.
Absolutely. And they can go to your website too to get to that site, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, great. Now, there are a lot of people listening, and especially my audiences are made up of people that look just like us. I want to say about 80% of my audience. If you're looking at them today, I want to end with both of you answering this question. What would you tell them when they think right now, whatever age they are, that what they were thinking they can do wasn't possible? What do you have to say to that person?
I mean, dream, believe, work, and achieve. It's just that simple. You dream it, you work at it, and you put it into fruition. You just look, see, move. It's like you dream it and then you have to put in the work. And then as you're putting in the work, all these pathways are opening because you did that next step other than dream. After dreaming, you got to put in some work. You got to say, okay, this is what I'm doing. And as you're doing it, something else just opens. And then you just keep going and don't give up. Just don't give up. But it takes work. Things just don't happen like this. I mean, maybe for some.
Thank you. And what about you, Gwen?
Gang, maybe for some. Oh my God, gang.
That's bewitched, right? Bewitched. That's how it happened.
Just to add on top of Fifi is, do your research too. Understand the market. You don't want to open up. I always use the example in my neighborhood. A frozen yogurt place opened and it was all the rage. And a block further down, another one opened up. And then around the corner, a third one opened up. And then they all closed. So, it's like, understand, why would you, don't open a third, understand your market, do the research, talk to people. And that's just one of my biggest things. When Fifi and I were initially, wanting to opened this restaurant and knew nothing. We went to other restaurants and said, hey, we'd love to talk to you. Can we see your kitchen? Can you give us some advice? And that really, really helped us, and that really set us up.
I didn't know how to build a kitchen, and looking at their kitchen, I was like, oh, like, I will also add this. I don't know if time is.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm talking to somebody right now who is asking for a lot of advice from me at the moment. And one of her biggest fears, and it's not just her, it's a lot of people that have ideas that are like this with them. They don't want to share. They don't want to partner. They don't want, they just want it all to themselves. But, and that's great too, if you can handle that. But I also think as women who are mothers and want to continue to be in, their families' lives. And I just think it's really not that bad to have a partner. It sometimes actually allows, it's starting to make me realize that if we have a partner to scale, 50%, 30% of 100, 200,000 is more than 50 to 20% of nothing. You feel me?
Better talk about it.
Opening up for potential partners it's not scary. It's not like the worst thing you can possibly do. Everybody worries about that because that's how we were, but we're not anymore.
Listen, if you watch Shark Tank, that's what they tell you. Like, you can have 100% of a great, or a percentage of something much greater than that, if that's what works for you, or you need, I should say.
And I think a lot of people who are starting their business feel very passionate, and it's great because you need all of that in order to keep going. But I definitely think, and having a best friend, partner, sister, friend like this is, it almost feels like, how are you guys working this long together as friends? But, when you put your egos aside and you have like-minded individuals with the same goal, I just have to pick and choose basically, because I'm not trying to mess up my money. I'm not trying to mess up this gold. We're on our way to there. So if you want to pick out the color of that chair, go right ahead. Or if you want to make this recipe yours, okay, we're still getting there though, right? Okay, cool. It's easier said than done, but a lot of it with partnerships gone wrong is ego. It's like, well, who you can say this to me, then what makes you be able to make the decision? And it's not. It's being smart and saying, oh, actually, we're on the same path, and I'm okay with that.
I love that. I love that. Thanks for sharing. So, we talked a lot about the Crabby Shack. We talked a little bit about the lobster and the hot sauce. What else do either of you want to share about the restaurant, or what's there and then where it is? Because, there are some people that are listening that are in New York. So, and then we've already talked about the shipping option, but what are some of the things on the menu? What do you want to tell them? Do you have anything going on? This is your time to do the Crabby Shack commercial, y'all.
Well, come see us at the Crabby Shack. We're at 613 Franklin Avenue in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. We are known for our rolls, our lobster and crab roll and lobster rolls, but we have a crab grilled cheese, and we have crab tacos, and award-winning crab and corn chowder, and a crab BLT, all things crab. But for those of you that cannot do the crab, we have the chicken option, and come over to side piece. We have our delicious chicken bites tossed in our special sauce. Mm-hmm. We have chicken wings. We have a delicious fried chicken sandwich. We have a pulled chicken sandwich, barbecue pulled chicken sandwich. So we have a lot of options for a lot of people, and we have a vibe. Come in, you'll have a good time. We have some good music. Every other week we do a party, we have a DJ. We have a lot of fun, and come hang out with us.
And what days do you have the party with the DJ on?
Well, it's on Wednesdays tends to be the main day that we have our parties.
Okay.
But check on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram at the Crabby Shack for more information because sometimes we have a party on Thursday because we might have a Goldman Sachs event on Wednesday, so we have to push our party to Thursday. But yes,
Right, that's right. Listen, I can't wait to pull up because I'm gonna pull up one day at the Crabby Shack. Like I'm like hungry listening to this, and right now it's like I'm just like, oh, the two of you, I am. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having us.
The money exchange. I'm proud of the two of you. I enjoy your perseverance. I enjoy your transparency. Some of the things you talked about, I think most critical is even when you hit something like you mentioned in 2020, it is now about to be 2024. So that goes to show you there was perseverance to get you to keep you going. And hats off to Goldman Sachs. And I know that program is, 10,000 small businesses out of all the businesses that are out there. So you all got into that program, and I'm glad that what you learned there and still involved with them is continuing to propel you. So, kudos to them as well. And I loved how they featured you for the program that I'm in. That's how I met you all. I've seen you all online and on other things that you've been involved in, but to meet you in person at that event is showing that how Goldman Sachs is continuously supporting the businesses that they have had through their program. So kudos to you for that continued work there. So thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. I'm going to close this out unless you have anything else you want to share or say before we do so.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
So much.
Absolutely.
Congratulations to you with the 1 million Black women.
Thank you. I'm having a blast. I graduate December. So thank you so much for making it to another episode of The Money Exchange with Patrina Dixon. I'm so excited about this episode. So there's so much to learn here. Make sure you drop down in the show notes so that you can get their Instagram pages and their website, and find out how you can order if you're not in New York, and the address if you are in Brooklyn, or if you're not in Brooklyn and want to pull up when you're there visiting. I appreciate you for always hanging in there. And I'm your It's My Money girl. So make sure if you also need help with your money, drop down and get that free downloadable. All right, make it a great day.